Today we're going to talk about lighting setups. Now, many photographers contact me regularly asking how many lights do I need, how many lights do you use for different shoots? Well, I'm going to show you some really good 3-light setups for beauty and fashion shots that you'll find really useful. I'm going to show you those in a short while. But first of all, let's take a look at some of my images on my commercial photography site, because I think you'll be quite surprised how often I use very few lights. So let's take a look at this shot here, which we shot recently down on the coast. This shot actually only uses one location studio light powered on a battery pack. The rest of the light is fill light using ambient daylight. This product photography concept shot actually only uses one light as well. So it's more about the knowledge on how you use the light and how you create the concept that's important, rather than saying I have to use 5 lights or I have to use 4 lights. You basically want to use the exact amount of lights you need to achieve the visualization. Other shoots are more complex. This particular example, I needed 12 lights to capture the image in camera in one shot. There were also some rods and wires holding things in position which have been retouched later, but from a lighting perspective, I wanted to be sure that I could capture everything on the product in one capture. Another good example of multiple lights was this recent motorbike shoot that we did for a live show on carltayloreducation.com, and I think I used about 8 or 9 lights on this particular shot. However, I also demonstrated the technique of how you could use one light and multiple bursts in different places to achieve the same result. This shot actually has one key light on the model, but it has one very important light adding blue light into the shadows. So it's actually just a 2-light setup. So when we think about lighting, we must think about it not in the sense of, oh, I need to use 5 lights or I need to use 4 lights. We have to try to think about what we're trying to achieve visually and then work towards that goal via pre-visualization and then achieve the result based on the equipment necessary. Now, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you a couple of lighting setups that use just 3 lights and how you can use them effectively. So if we head over to my blog on carltayloreducation.com, you'll find a blog post called Portrait Photography Lighting Ideas, 3 creative ways to use 3 lights. Now let's take a look at this example. Now, there's no end to how creative you can be using just 3 lights for portrait or beauty photography. And this is something we cover extensively over on Carl Taylor Education. But today I'm going to share 3 ways that you can use 3 lights. Each of these setups uses only basic modifiers and shows effective techniques that can help add 3-dimensionality to your subject. Further examples of 3-light setups can be found in our portrait section, along with more examples of great 1-light, 2-light and 4-light examples too. So let's look at the first one, 3 lights for a high-key fashion shot. Now you can see in this image here that we've got a very high-key, punchy look, colourful background with really beautiful rim lighting surrounding the model, around the edge of the shoulders, the neck, the cheekbones and up onto the hair. It's also got a sense and feeling of flare coming into the shot, and that's quite deliberate for the look and style of the shot with the pastel pink background. And overall, the image has got quite a high-key look. But actually, the shot was quite simple to achieve. Let's take a look at the lighting diagram and you'll see the setup for this shot. So I have 2 silver umbrellas creating the rim lighting that's visible on the model's face either side and over the bare shoulders. The key light on the front of the model was using a Focus 110 umbrella, which is also silver, the same as the standard silver umbrellas at the back. Now the trick to this shot is positioning the silver umbrellas at the back at exactly the right angle so that you can just tilt them to allow a little bit of flare into the camera, but you can control it. And it's that level of control by just turning the silver umbrellas and then moving them out and into the shot that will control the amount of flare coming into the camera. The Focus 110 umbrella from the front is particularly good at delivering a punchy fashion style look to the shot. It has a sort of para-like quality, but not quite the same level of quality as a para, but a very good economical alternative instead. The pink background was made by simply painting a board and painting it with pink matte emulsion paint. And the light from the umbrellas at the back and from the key light was enough to give me the pink background. Now, if you look at the catch lights in the eyes on the model, you can see that the front key light is from slightly above. Now, generally, when I'm shooting with a beauty dish, a para 133 or a Focus 110 umbrella, I'm shooting with that light slightly above the model at a 45-degree angle, about 1 meter to 2 meters away from the model. And that results in the result that we've got there. Okay, let's take a look at my lighting example number 2, which we've titled on the blog as Strong, Bold and Dynamic. Now, what you should be doing when you look at the image, and you can see the image here, is you should start to look at it and try to evaluate, well, how is that shot lit? How has the photographer, how have I managed to light that 3/4 length, almost full body length shot in such a way? Well, again, this was a 3-light setup, and it's actually quite a simple one as well. Let's move down to the lighting diagram. You can see that the background is a grey paper roll that's coming down behind the model. The model's standing on top of that. And then behind the model, hidden down here on a lower studio low stand or a floor stand, is the glow that's being created behind the model, shining on the background. Then the lights on the model are 2 lights. They are 30 by 120 strip softboxes. So they're quite narrow, they're about that wide, and they're quite long. One of them is used horizontally above the model in much the same way and position where I would put a beauty dish or a para 133 for my beauty shots. So I'm using the 30 by 120 in a horizontal format above and across at the top of the model. And then I'm using one more 30 by 120 down the side. So what I'm actually creating is an L shape of light using 2 30 by 120 softboxes. And there you can see the result that I'm able to achieve, which gives a nice contouring and shape where the light is predominantly coming from the right and then it's fading away off to the left. So it is a soft light, but it's not too soft. So it has a little bit of structure to the cheekbones and to the textures and the fabrics. My third lighting setup is very similar. We've called this one Bright and Stylish on our blog. Now, if you examine the photograph first of all, you'll notice you can actually see the edge lighting coming onto the edge of the model's forehead and onto the cheekbone here as well. You'll also notice the graduated glow on the background. So immediately you can see that one of our lights is being used as the background light. Now, if we look at the lighting setup for this one, you'll see it's very similar to the other lighting setup, except I've moved one of the 30 by 120s behind the model. So I still have a light horizontal across the top of the model in the common position at a 45-degree angle or just above the model's head. And then in this instance, I've moved one of the 30 by 120 softboxes, which is vertically placed, but I've moved it behind the model to catch the catch light down the side of the hair, the forehead, and the cheekbone. And then as you can see in the lighting diagram, the third light is there for the background. The addition to this lighting setup was the fill reflector below the model. Now, as this shot's been taken horizontally, I was able to position a fill reflector below the model to bounce some of the light from the top light back up to fill the shadows under the neck and under the jawline. Now, these are just 3 lighting setups using 3 lights. We have many, many more on karltayloreducation.com using 1 light, 2 light, 3 light and 4 light, and using lighting on location. In fact, these actual shoots where you've seen these lighting diagrams here, we walk through them completely and you can watch the entire video for those shoots as well. Well, I hope you found those 3 light setups useful. We'll see you next time.
Get my completely free photography course with no sign-up required. You can also access our free 90-page ebook. Just click the link or go to carltayloreducation.com.